Anyone who went to see this movie in theaters is going to have a really bad day. Get it? I was there. It happened. And you're like, that was my review of 2016. Now this one was...
Yeah, so we're back. We're giving an honest review about Ghostbusters Afterlife. The movie... I don't know about you, Chavo, but the movie I've been waiting to see for about 30 years now. What was your first experience with Ghostbusters?
It was watching the movie on TV and kind of just experiencing I mean, God, I can still remember sitting in the living room watching it, just kind of hooked on, like, you know, watching them chase after these ghosts. A lot of jokes flying over my head because I was, like, really young at the time. I don't know. It's just... It's weird because it's just one of those things that's always been there, if that makes sense. Like, it's just like, it's really hard to... I very seldom kind of have, like, that impactful, like, whoa, my life has officially changed. It's just like, it was just one of those things, just like, oh yeah, Ghostbusters. It's as common as a fucking fire brigade or, you know, police team.
Yeah, I am just a couple years older than you, so I feel like I caught the last or wave of the real Ghostbusters on TV. I don't know if you had that.
I did not have that, but I did have Extreme Ghostbusters, which I know some people would probably roll their eyes, but I actually enjoyed that show.
Extreme Ghostbusters, I actually watched that too. It didn't quite hook me like real Ghostbusters, and I think it was because they destroyed the theme song and then
because they had to make it extreme.
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Well, you know what was interesting for me, because I never realized this as, you know, when I as a kid, because I saw it like its first run, like when it hit. I didn't grow up with the real Ghostbusters cartoon, so I had no idea back then that it was a sequel series, like the same continuity, and that they actually did like continuing plot lines from like the one-off episodes of the original series. I always thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I agree. They even have like a Hellraiser episode in Extreme Ghostbusters, but that's not what this podcast is about today.
But that is going to be a future episode, right? Like, we're definitely...
Yeah, we should talk about that. That would be a good episode. But this is
such sites to show you. What sites? Ray, shut the fuck up.
Yeah. You opened the trap. We came. No, but like I want to call myself an extreme Ghostbusters fan, really, because I did grow up with it. Like literally my first memories as a kid is going to Toys R Us when like I had to have been 4 years old or something, maybe even younger. Like I remember going to Toys R Us and coming out with the Firehouse. I had Ecto-1. I had all the toys. I had a Proton Pack, the blue one that everyone else had with the styrofoam yellow fucking stream. And, you know, my dad would tell me, I would stand there and watch the movie, and like the part where Gozer asks Ray, like, are you a god? And he's like, no, and then blows him away, then die. I would fall down with them. It's like I was one of the Ghostbusters. He said that I would just act out the whole thing like as if I was there with them. So it's been a part of my life forever. Obviously, I was waiting for this movie a really long time. In the 90s, really quickly, my grandmother, we were traveling from Phoenix to Iowa, and she stopped to get me a magazine. It was Toy Fair or Wizard, one of them. Because, you know, it's the 90s, you didn't have shit to do in the car. And they had the smallest, like it was 3 paragraphs, the smallest sliver of a little article that said, coming this summer, Ghostbusters 3. And it had like a little quote from Dan Aykroyd, you know, like, yeah, the script's done, blah, 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 Ghostbusters goes to hell. That never happened.
Bill's holding out, but I'm pretty sure I could butter him up.
Yeah, and so that sucked a lot. That sucked a big one when I found out that that article was not accurate, and I read it probably 50,000 times in the backseat of that truck. But, we finally got the movie, and I think for anyone, any real Ghostbusters fan, they're going to tell themselves, like, yeah, that was good, or like, they're going to say it was good, but I think overall, there's no way it could have lived up to expectations. Absolutely no way possible. Harold Ramis is gone. That's a big component of why. You know what I mean? So, what do you
There's
think, Chavo?
no fully absolving yourself from development hell. You see it happen, all the time. In terms of like video games, like the first example that comes to my mind is like Duke Nukem Forever, just because people waited and they just kept stoking the fire and being like, oh, we're gonna go bigger, we're gonna go badder, and then like no matter what, even if they released a game that had been functional at that point, nothing was gonna live up to the hype, and people just like, oh, this is garbage. It's a better coaster. Okay.
Yeah, it's a door stopper.
Yeah, but I don't know. Like my fandom for things, like I wish I still had that kind of enthusiasm where I could just eagerly await the next entry for anything, not just Ghostbusters, but like
Hmm.
whether regardless if it's Resident Evil or oh god, insert whatever other franchise that I used to be
To
excited about.
like Twin Peaks, maybe.
Oh, don't fucking get me started. Oh, David, why? But anyway, I don't know. These days, I try to look at each entry into something objectively, like on its own. I reserve some of my judgment where I'm like, okay, how does this fit in the grand scheme of things versus how does this fit on its own as its own independent movie? I did the
Hmm.
same thing for Resident Evil when they did Welcome to Raccoon City. I still don't get the absolute vitriol that people have for that one. But again, off topic. In regards to this movie, I thought it was a good time. I thought it was a classic. I shouldn't probably throw around the word classic, but I thought it was a solid Ghostbusters experience. I love the message about family despite all of the corporate hoo-ha around this, because let's be honest, our childhood memories, especially in terms of Ghostbusters, are a corporate product. It's something, it's marketed specifically to sell product. It's a corporate entity. So like I'm trying not to like put my heart on it, but at the same time I do feel the overwhelming love for both Harold Ramis and Egon Spengler, the character. And
I agree.
I really for him being dead and for them, being really tight on that, I have to say probably the heart and like the highlight of the movie for me is the relationship between him and his spoiler alert granddaughter in the movie. Even with him not having like direct lines back and forth because obvious reasons. I really like how they kindled that relationship and they kind of discover like these mutual interests, and you see she's picked up Egon's curious technical mind. And I know some people probably would pick a bone like, well, how the fuck is she able to do that at that young of an age? And I'm like, well, if you're curious enough and take things apart, and it's not being born necessarily with the intelligence, but with the capacity to seek out knowledge and just learn things.
Well, yeah, and you know how I feel about that. It's not that I hate it. It's just that it was instantly. It actually kind of works because it instantly is like an 80s cliche, like the intelligent little kid that everyone should listen to and has the like know-how and the bright ideas. It's like that kid in the like Return of the Living Dead 2 or something where he's like, we should do this, and everyone's like, yeah, the kid's right. So I mean, it's just an 80s trope, classic 80s trope, the intelligent kid. So it kind of almost works. I do dig the opening scene. Probably the opening 10 minutes and the last 10 minutes are the best minutes of this film. Everything in between is good. It's competent, but like that first 10 minutes with Egon, we should say there's spoilers in this review, but the first 10 minutes with Egon, where he's clearly taking off from the mine, where the Gozer shrine is, all the mind ghosts and everything are coming out of the pit. It's a really fresh setup that he knows he's pretty much fucked. Like, as soon as the terror dog makes its way across the field and he doesn't have the traps to catch it.
Yeah, it's a there's a specific term, but yeah, it's pretty much realizes that there's only one way this is going to end. Yeah, no, it was a really strong opening, and then of course, again, that finale was very heartwarming. There's a lot about this movie I like. There's only one thing that kind of just rubs me the wrong way and kind of just sticks out, and I don't mean it to sound personal because I'm sure the actor is I'm sure he's a cool dude and I like him in things. Finn Wolfhard had no fucking place in this movie. He had nothing to do.
He's kind of like the brother that's like why does he fix the car? Like, there's no reason. He just finds it, he starts fixing it, and then he takes it for a drive, and it's like, there's no reason.
Well, I mean, I guess that could be, maybe it's a small echo of like, well, he is a Spangler, but also he is a teenage boy, and if there's a car there that's worth salvaging, it's like, well, I mean, it is a giant fucking ambulance, but hey, a car's a car. Maybe I can get a date out of it.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, it's again that kid intelligence. Like, how the fuck does he know how to fix this old ass like funeral car? You know what I mean?
I don't know. Only in the 80s could we have something like two dipshits making Kelly LeBrock using a computer. Like,
yeah. So it's just one of those things again. Like, I don't hate it, but it just all like happens magically. And again, and I've said this before many a times, like even in the original Ghostbusters, it never explains how they make the proton packs. They just show up. There they are. They got them. There's no explanation.
those are fucking mini nuclear reactors strapped to their backs.
Yeah, and you just buy into it, and it's like, okay, all right, I'm into this, but there's no explanation. But the movie does a good way of you not needing to ask that. I would say this movie accomplishes that too, but upon watching it more and more, I have asked those questions.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm not a fan of using the term "turn my brain off" or "turn your brain off" because I don't think people should have to turn their brain off to enjoy a movie.
Mm-hmm.
I personally never felt myself asking those types of questions that intensely. Maybe it's just because I'm more kind of I don't know, maybe I feel like I often lean less towards like the logical technical side of things and more towards like the emotional like flow of how things work in the movie.
Yeah, well, like I said, it was only upon watching it, because I've seen it 4 times now since I've bought it. Like, in the theater, I wasn't asking these questions the first viewing. It's just upon
Yes, you were,
rewatching
like
it.
loudly out loud for everyone to hear. Why is this? Shut the fuck up. We're trying to watch the movie. I just want to know how the pack works.
It's just one of those things, but overall, like, honestly, my biggest gripes with the movie were the lack of original content. They bring Gozer back again. What's her name who plays Gozer did a fantastic job.
Olivia Wilde for the body, and then I think they had someone else doing the voice.
Okay, yeah. And like, but the thing I don't get is Gozer is supposed to be creepy, and in the original Gozer's eyes are red, and in this one they're just all black. I don't know why the change.
I don't know either. And it's kind of a conundrum we're seeing with a lot of these what was that term they used in Scream? The requel?
Yeah.
Where essentially they're just like kind of rehashing things. Like they can't stray too far from the original stuff, but they have to also try to figure out a way to be unique and change it up enough too.
That's basically it. Because there's
Yeah.
so many callbacks in this movie. You got to do the Twinkies, everything about Egon.
Here's the thing. They have to play it safe, and unfortunately, like a lot of that is because of Ghostbusters 2016.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know if my feelings about that have come up beforehand. I'll just lay it out. It's a flawed movie. It has its issues. I don't think it deserved quite the intense amount of. I feel like people hated it for the wrong reasons, I guess, to sum that up.
I hate it. I don't hate it, but I dislike it immensely because it's a bad movie and it's not funny, and it's clear that they tried too fucking hard. Paul Feig is a hack director. Like, the cast, whatever, it's not their. I don't blame them. I blame Paul Feig.
Yeah, no, that one we are unanimous on 100%. I didn't know that he'd banned fucking Ivan Reitman from the set. That was pretty shitty, and it's just like, well, now I know why, considering the final product. But that movie, love it or hate it or in between, whatever, they threw so much stuff on its head and changed. They strayed so far away from the original formula and the original concepts that I feel like in order for this movie to be made, essentially, they had to be like, no, guys, you got to fucking, like, we're going as close to remake as we possibly can, I don't know, they still change it up enough, because I actually really like the setting. I like that we get out of New York City and we're in the middle of bumfuck nowhere.
It's so weird actually how that works. And that's a great point, Chavo, is that the small town setting, them calling Egon the dirt farmer, and then you find out why he was doing that weird digging. The whole setup for why he's out there is actually phenomenal. The other thing that I don't like is that Ray didn't believe him when he told him about it. That just doesn't ring true to me. Like, I could see them arguing over, like, oh, this is a class 4, obviously. No, it's a class 5 ghost, like something like that. But like him telling him, like, Ray, there's all these things out here, you need to come. I don't see why he wouldn't do that.
Well, again, there's only so much they can do without having Harold Ramis to cover or hold up the other end of that, to elaborate, have like a scene between them to elaborate on what the conflict or the strife was.
Mm-hmm.
But I think when I saw it in theaters, my rationale for it was essentially, if you're looking at it from Ray's perspective, this is the second time their business has folded under, like, because they had that long, the ghosts have dried up before. And I feel like what it wasn't so much that he completely outright didn't believe him. It's just that his skepticism kind of ended up clashing with Egon's insistence and urgency of the matter. And before they could really get to a resolution or a common ground, Egon, being the practical person that he is just like, fuck it, I need to get out there and I need to start, building a contingency plan on this immediately.
I mean, if that was the case, I just don't feel like it was delivered well. And I'm not going to say it's Dan Aykroyd's fault, but that whole, like, exposition drop when
that scene could have probably been written better.
And it was pretty bad. These are like little gripes, because overall the rest of it is pretty good. Like Podcast, for instance, great character, funny, believable. Paul Rudd's character even funny and believable. And what's her name? Carrie Coon is her name?
Yeah, Egon's daughter.
Yeah, great part where she just, like, doesn't care. She's almost like a schlubby type person, like they were in New York, like, whatever, like, let's just use whatever we got, and, like, this is the last of the petty cash type situation.
Yeah.
She seems very, like, yeah, just like, whatever, I don't know, like, he was into things, or, yeah, we're going to stay here for a week, right? Well, that was before we moved, or before we got evicted. And then he's like, I thought you said you have money. She's like, well, that was before I had kids. Humor like that actually works for me, because yeah, because I think that's the thing that people forget, is that Ghostbusters did a really unique thing. It straddled the line between comedy and horror, and this movie effectively, I think, does that.
Yes. I thought the balance was much better handled than Ghostbusters 2016. I'll try not to reference that one as much, because it really just feels like I'm just like curb stomping, someone that can't really fight back at this point.
Yeah, that movie's been destroyed.
Yeah,
Um,
but I really enjoyed most of the cast, and even Finn Wolfhard. I should specify. I feel his character is just really unnecessary. If anything, just them being like, "See, look, there's another person with the penis in this movie, so you can't say it's a girl movie. So please don't lose your shit at us, please."
it's possible. What did you think of Evo Shandor showing up at the end?
Excellent casting. It's weird, you're so used to hearing about him, in the first movie. Like I never would have thought we'd actually like meet him in the flesh in a sequel.
Mm-hmm.
I also love that he really doesn't get that much time before he just gets fucking like obliterated.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, I did this for you, dead.
Okay, okay, thanks.
Thanks, I hate it. Shh.
Yeah, pretty
Um,
much. And I think overall, like, one of the things I like about this movie is I feel it does accomplish what I expect from a sequel, which is raising the stakes.
mhm.
I really feel like killing Ivo Shandor kind of helps establish that, and kind of elevating the whole, like, oh yeah, no, you thought it was almost apocalyptic in Ghostbusters too. Well, no, this is the apocalypse that's arriving.
I was confused because at the part where Ray says that Egon took all of their equipment and then they didn't have anything anymore, and you see like the 4 packs at the Gozer Shrine in the temple in the mine, and like Paul Rudd destroys
Mhm.
one of them, but then there's like more that show up later in the movie, and I'm kind of curious how that happens. Like, did they go to the mine and get those 3 that were there, or I can't remember. And it just really weird that I had to stop to think about that. I was like, I guess they must have just had extras.
I'm going to go out on a limb here and assume that they did accumulate extras later down the line. I feel like either probably sometime after Ghostbusters 2, like when they had that last boom in business. I feel like maybe they were gonna, I don't know. There's lots of ways we could spin it. I mean, there's multiple continuities we've had with other Ghostbusters properties where they're like, yeah, they want to expand, add more people to the crew. So it could be that they, had packs, or I actually, I know that's literally all I can think about. I haven't seen this movie since I think December was when I went to see it. So I don't know, or I don't think I remember enough to think of anywhere else they could have grabbed those packs from.
Yeah, the only other thing I would add too is that, and I mean, I don't know how people overall feel about this, but when the Ghostbusters do show up, the actual Ghostbusters, Winston, Peter, and Ray, it kind of feels like they just walked on a set, which they did. And I
Yeah,
know
no.
I know that they're not going to get Bill Murray for days to shoot. Like, Bill, we're gonna need you to be in New York to talk to Ray, and we're gonna build you up to going out to the farm. He's not going to do that. He showed up. He's going to do that one ending scene. That's it. That's all you're going to get Bill Murray for. I know that. So that's what happens. That's
Technically
what you
too, because
get.
they we had that sweet cameo with Sigourney Weaver to show that I think that confirms that they are still very much married in universe.
Yeah, or at
But
least
yeah, I
together.
wasn't. I honestly, I think the movie gave me more than what I was expecting, because I was kind of just expecting him to show up, crack a few jokes, either get killed or wiped out. But I wasn't expecting them to actually like take on a fight with Gozer
Right.
again.
I like when Bill Murray says, like, I think we're done. He says, we could have been a power couple, me with my something and you with your personality, your big personality. Uh,
it's the Vakeman humor from the '80s we loved.
yes, and even Winston gets some lines in this. Thank God he gets to try to take an extra shot at Gozer, And then he also gets to say, "Let's toast this puppy," which was a nice line.
I was gonna say, I feel like they kind of gave him a bit of a mini redemption, considering how many times they've cut the legs out from under this character, like in the first two.
Mm-hmm.
I like that he's kind of become the benefactor of Ghostbusters.
And he gets a little bit more funny lines in this too, which, like, I'm so happy for that. It just filled me with joy. There's actually a deleted scene in Ghostbusters 2, which I still have no idea why they cut it out. But it's when they go to pick up Peter to go down into the sewers to check out the slime. There's this deleted scene where they actually go up to his apartment and they're like, "Hey, Peter, you want to go with us to go do this?" And they're all standing at the doorway, and Sigourney comes out as Dana, and Winston says, "He ain't coming."
I mean, can we blame him?
Yeah.
I guess. All right.
But yeah, I'm glad that he got his redemption arc, and I think that was purposeful. Actually, I know I'm gonna guess that Jason Reitman purposely was like, "No, we're gonna give you some fucking lines this time, and you're gonna feel like one of the boys."
Yeah, and it's about damn time. I've never been quite cool with how they treated our boy Winston.
And they set him up to be basically take over what Egon's like being the teacher to the next crew that takes on the job as being Ghostbusters. They kind of set him up to be the carrier of that, and so far Ernie Hudson has expressed that yeah, he wants to do that role, and I think they should let him.
Yeah, he's got the moxie for it, and I feel like him and Aykroyd for sure are down. I'm looking through some facts about the movie right now, and there's literally a section that just shows Aykroyd has expressed interest in having the surviving 3 actors of the original Ghostbusters team reprise their roles in up to 3 sequels. And I'm like, yeah, you're not going to get Bill for 3 more sequels. Sorry,
No.
Dan.
Nope.
Pretty sure the only reason they got him for this one was for Harold. That probably had to be the primary thing. It's like, all right, no, I owe him at least this one project, and then that's it. I'm not putting on the pack again. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, and it was a very touching moment when they all said their goodbyes to him. Ray says, "I'm sorry I didn't believe you." Peter says, "I knew you'd show up at some point," and then I think Ernie Winston says, "I miss you, my friend," or something like that, which I read online, people said they cried at that moment.
Even I teared up a bit on that. I know. It's a bit silly, but I thought it hit pretty hard.
No. As soon as I saw Harold's hand come around to help her hold the proton pack, I pretty much was like in tears.
Yeah, Egon has always been my personal favorite Ghostbuster. I loved the fact that he seemed to be kind of like the guy who built a lot of the shit for him and like figured out the gear, got it together. Just again the scientist, very curious. His quest to study and figure out the unknown,
And not kind of being dissuaded by human personality, getting in the way. Just no, I like to work on my science. That's it.
and yeah, he is kind of like the nerd of the group, but I always thought there was a certain wave of coolness to him. I mean, hell, even Janine caught on to that because she was always trying to get a piece.
And that was actually a nice little touch too when they showed that deleted scene from the first movie where she gives him the coin, and then he says, "We might not be coming back. I don't know if I should take it." And she's like, "Well, I have 2, so it's okay." And then she's holding it when she's in Winston's office or whatever.
Yeah, it's funny because I had watched the Ghostbusters deleted scenes not too long beforehand, so like I saw that, I'm like, oh my god, I know what this scene is.
Nice.
They ended up, if I remember right, I think they ended up cutting it because they were trying to trying to tone down the idea of a relationship between him and Janine. They are like, do we want this? And no, never mind, cut it.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
Did you hate Paul Rudd putting on R-rated movies as a summer teacher?
That is one of the most Paul Ruddiest things Paul Rudd has done. I'm honestly surprised it wasn't fucking Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers.
Come full circle.
The kids are just like, what the fuck did we do to you? Why?
I thought it was funny when he's explaining Cujo to him. He's like, just think Beethoven, but it wants to eat children. I'm like, they wouldn't know what Beethoven is either, dude. And then I noticed too that when they played the part in Child's Play, they cut out all the cursing where he's like, you stupid bitch trying to fuck with me. And they cut out all that part.
You filthy slut, I'm gonna fucking kill you.
Yeah, it's just like, wanna play?
It's a shame. Jason Reitman, you would have earned my respect had you kept it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God.
I just want to say, like, closing statements, it was good to see my boys back on the screen. I cried. I felt really good. I know that's what we're supposed to feel. I know that it doesn't really represent the comedy side of it when we get that. But again, Ghostbusters did straddle the line between both an emotional, scary movie and sometimes funny to, like outright just science fiction almost, So I'm okay with all of that. I'm okay with everything they did in this movie. I just think there are little gripes that just don't make sense to me. And I hope with the next movie they do that they try to build on it and escape away from using anything they have before. Like, God forbid they bring fucking Vigo the Carpathian back,
If they do, I hope he is fucking hanging somewhere in Peter and Dana's apartment. And she's just like, God damn it, can we just burn this thing already? No, babe, I like it. Ugh. Oh, good, it got out. Thanks, Peter, fucking asshole. I want a divorce.
Oscar's just like in a mental institute, like, Vigo.
Also, who the fuck is my dad? They could cast an adult Oscar for the next one. That would actually be pretty cool. Make some ties to Ghostbusters 2 so people can stop thinking that they like erase that one from continuity.
Yeah, I really hope they don't, because I think that Ghostbusters 2 is just as good a movie, almost just as good as a movie as the first one. So yeah, please don't do that.
My last statement, I guess, would be it is a competent film. There's a few hiccups, that I don't think could really be avoided too much, again, due to Harold Ramis's unfortunate passing. But overall, I think they scored a win with this, and I think the general public agrees. It seems to be doing a lot better. The internet is not torn in half arguing on whether or not this is a good movie, which was nice, refreshing. Like, everyone would be like, either they were like, it was okay, or oh, it was awesome. So yeah. I think Jason did his dad proud.
Yeah, and it had a lead female protagonist too, so it definitely had nothing to do with gender.
No, and it was great, and I feel I don't want to say they did a good job not shoving it in our face, because a lot of times just existing is considered shoving in one's face, but I really liked how they handled it, and I thought it was really cool seeing the next generation kind of taking on the mantle. And I think I hope Phoebe Spangler comes back for the sequel, because just be nice to keep it in the family.
Yeah, in Podcast 2, he was a very, very likable character. My closing thoughts are the same. Just like I said, I think it's a great movie. I think that the little things that bother me, I can get over them. You know, the references and callbacks, there was way too fucking many of them. Get rid of that shit in the sequel. You know, with the boys coming back, bring Winston back, please, for the love of God. If Ray will do it too, hell yeah. We know Bill's probably not going to do it. That's fine. But, you know, we got what we got. And at this point, it was about as good it was ever going to be, with Jason Reitman doing his work over his dad's. It was never going to get better than this after Harold passed away. I just can't see it happening. So I think we're all very fortunate that it did it all, and I'm just extremely happy. And it's also made me feel really old.
You know, I think an optimistic outlook for me is I feel like because this movie was a success and because it did as well as it did, you know, in terms of structure, I really do feel like it's going to open the door for the world of Ghostbusters, and hopefully we'll get to see more spin-offs and properties, hopefully all well done spin-offs and properties, and see what else we can do with it, you know?
Yeah, I agree. And they apparently are. It was confirmed that they're making another Ghostbusters video game, so I cannot wait for that. I can't wait for more of that. So
No, Alyssa Milano, please.
yes, no, listen, Milano. Sigourney, clear up your schedule.
For fuck's sake, please.
Yeah, but you know, I just want to thank everyone for listening. When we do these honest reviews, the reason they're honest is because we're not trying to play to, you know, any sort of algorithm with everyone else where it's like, you know, oh, everyone hates it because of this reason. We're not gonna do that, you know. It's objective that, you know, you look at this product and you see what it did right, what it did wrong, how it could improve. And I think we've done that, you know, albeit a little bit with jokes aside.
Hey, if we can't joke about it, then what's the point, right?
Right, especially a Ghostbusters movie. So yeah, you know, everyone, thanks for listening. Chavo, thanks for being on again.
Thank you for having me.
Yep. And everyone have a good night. We are ready to believe you.